Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. How are you? I hope you all are doing good. Another class you are going to take today. And today's topic is on your screen. And we will also continue parts of a speech. As you know, you have been learning parts of a speech since the beginning of the week. Okay. So before starting, same instructions I will give you. Turn off your videos during class. You must have required stationery and textbook first of all, and do not ask me questions during class. Ask me question at the end of the class when the session of question answers starts. Okay, so let's start the topic. Topic is on screen. You can see the poem Children. Page number is 55. So quickly open page number 55 and the topic is children. First of all, I'm showing you just a pictorial overview of the poem. In first picture, you can see children are happily playing. They are fully indulged in their fun, in having fun and in happiness. The second picture, you can see sunshine and birds, because the poet will say that in the poem you will read about it that children are like sunshine and birds, and you can see the purity of nature, the beauty here, how beautiful these birds are looking. Then another picture. It's a single bird. It's called swallow. You will learn about this bird in poem. And another picture. It's a stream. You can see how very pure water is running past. Another picture. Few children who are very happy. See their happy faces. You can see how happy they are. How beautiful smile you can see on their faces. How beautiful it is actually. Okay. So let's move toward the next picture. You can see the narrator. It means the poet, you can also say, is himself a narrator. You can see an old man having questions, or you can see this man is confused. Another picture you can see it's snowfall, and you can see it's a first snowfall. Okay, you can see the season of autumn, how leaves have been turned yellow. And another picture, very beautiful picture, you can see an old man is surrounded by children and they are making him happy, and they himself are happy and playing with him, and he is how happy he is. You can see his face. Okay, let's move toward the okay introduction to the poet. Name of the poet is Henry Longfellow. He was born in 1807 and the place is America. Occupation, he was a poet as well as he was a professor at Harvard University, very famous university, one of the best universities of the world. He died in 1882. He traveled a lot because he was interested in the culture of other countries. That's why he traveled a lot, and children were his constant topic for poetry. Okay, very quickly, you can see this is Henry Longfellow. This picture is of young Henry Longfellow with his own children, and I think this lady might be his wife. I don't know, but these are his own children. Okay, now you can see old Henry Longfellow. Just to show you, I wanted to show you. That's why I picked these pictures. Okay, now the stanza number one. Stanza number one is about calling children. The poet is an old man. He is dejected. He is worried of his old age. That's why he is calling children to come to him and relieve him from the burden of worldly issues, from the burden of worldly worries. And he is especially perplexed. You can see meaning down the stanza. Yeah, you can see perplexed means puzzled and confused. Why he is more confused? Because of his old age. He is thinking about his ultimate death. Because when someone is old, he thinks that I'm gonna die soon because of old age. Otherwise, anyone can die anytime. But when someone reaches old age, so he or she thinks that I will die soon. So the poet is, or the narrator is thinking. Okay. So in this stanza, he's just calling the children to come to him. Now stanza number two and stanza number three, I'm writing together because these I wrote together. Sorry, because these two stanzas are quite closer. In both stanzas, the poet is talking about the nature of children, how he takes children, how he thinks children actually are. Ye, the word ye, you can see it's in the previous slide I have written, I have shown you. Okay, ye means you. Okay, you open the eastern windows. Here, eastern windows means like eastern windows, let the light directly come to make the space brighter. Similarly, children bring light and glow in life. That looks towards the that look towards the sun. Similarly, children add glow in life. Where thoughts are singing swallows. Singing swallows. This word is also a metaphor. It is showing that children's thoughts are happy thoughts. It is showing, the happiness of children. The word singing swallows. And the brooks of morning run. Brooks, you can see meaning, small streams, water. How brooks run, I have shown you in the picture. Very pure water, especially in the morning, it looks more pure. So it looks purer in the morning. So children's thought never stop. They keep on thinking. They do one activity, they leave and they do another. They think one thing, they think about something, they think about another thing. So they never get stuck. The reason is because they do not have worries in their mind. They keep on thinking. They keep on thinking new things. That's why they are very innovative. Okay, they are very creative. Their ideas are very innovative actually. Stanza number 3 is again telling about what are in the hearts of the children. In our hearts, in the hearts of aged people, there are worldly worries, there are tensions, there are worldly issues which make us and which make them worried. But in the hearts of children, there are birds in sunshine. Here, birds means liveliness. It means that they are just lively, very lively. Sunshine, purity. They don't have negativity. Their thoughts are very pure. Their hearts are very pure. It's only positivity in their hearts. In your thoughts, the brooklets flow. Again, your thoughts keep on flowing. And here you can see you have small dreams. They have actually children have small dreams in their hearts. They keep on thinking about their small dreams, and they keep on thinking about different things. That's why their hearts are very, very pure. They don't think to harm others. They keep on thinking about having fun, about making the things beautiful, and the reason is their hearts are full of or filled with positivity. But in my mind, now he's comparing himself with children. In my mind, in poet's mind, or in the mind of the narrator, is the wind of autumn. It means I have so many worries, I have so many worldly problems, and the wind of autumn also. Autumn is the season when leaves turn yellow and they seem like they have died. Okay, so that's why he's saying that my life is now over, I have done everything, now I'm just going to leave the world, but you are the hope to the world. And the first fall of the snow, okay, my life is just like to end. It has nothing, no charm is in my life any further. Okay, here, next slide, next, sorry, stanza. Ah, what would the world be to us? You can see the poet is using an interjection. Ah, he's very gloomy in this stanza. You can imagine because of this interjection. What would the world be to us if the children were no more? He's saying that if the world is without children, what would the world be to us? How the world can be to us? Can be or would be or could be. We should dread the desert behind. The meaning of dread, you can see it's a verb, it's fear. Meaning is fear. We should dread the desert behind us. It means that there will be nothing. It will be only the world without any glow, without any charm, like a desert. Desert has no charm. It seems that when you are in a desert, you feel like you are just, uh, you know, uh, uh, you are just stuck at a place where nothing can happen. Okay, so he's saying that without children, the world has no charm. Okay, next stanza. What the leaves are to the forest. In these two stanzas, the poet is telling the importance of children with examples, with metaphors. Yeah, as leaves are so important for the forest or for the trees because they absorb light. They take food. They make food actually for the whole tree. Before, air means, the word you will see here, air, it means before. before their sweet and tender juices have been hardened into wood. And what they absorb, that sweet and tender juices, also help to grow the hard part of the plants, or of the tree. Okay, that to the world are children. Similarly, as leaves are the most important because they provide food. Similarly, children provide glow to the world. Here, glow, you can say happiness to the world, hope to the world. They are hope to the world. Otherwise, we will become hopeless. Because when someone is going to die or someone is going to leave the world, it feels like if we are gonna die or we are gonna leave the world and everything will die, everything will end. No, the children are hope to the world. They will carry on the life after us, and that's why people people feel proud to have children in life. When we have our own children, this is the reason we think that it's us again. We have come again in the world. When we see our own children, we think we have come again in the world. This is the reason, because we think that they will carry the life, or they will carry the world on after us. Okay, of a brighter and sunnier climate that reaches the trunk glow. It means the presence of children make everyone happy. It attracts everyone. It affects everyone. Okay, tender means delicate. Okay, come to me, O you children, and whisper in my ear what the birds. And now he is asking the children to come to him again. You can say it's a silly wish, but he is asking children, come to me and tell me the secret of your happiness. Why this sunny atmosphere? Sunny atmosphere means the clear atmosphere is around me, because you are around me. That's why he is asking children to come to him, to come closer to him, and tell him the reason, tell him the secret. And interestingly, the poet, somehow he had been a child, but now at this old age, he is asking this secret to other children, because a children only can feels like sorry a child only can feels like a child. When we grow up, we forget that things. We cannot think in such that way, because that is very natural. To be a child or children, they become the part of nature, so we cannot change it. So he is asking them to come to me and tell me the secret of your happiness, that you are making the atmosphere around me very happy. Okay, stanza 8 and 9. In these two stanzas, the poet is telling about again how important children are. He's saying that for what all our contrivings, inventions, and wisdom of our books, people have, the life has progressed a lot from the beginning of this world. But what he's saying, many contrivings, many inventions, many devices, man has developed or has invented. But what he's saying, all the wisdom which are kept in books, if we compare them with children's caresses, caresses means a gentle touch, soft touch. If we compare them, the wisdom and the contrivings, with the caresses of children, they will be, that caresses will be much more important or valuable than these, because their caresses give us gladness, happiness, relief. Or the question mark you can see here, it means that we cannot even imagine, we cannot even compare them. That's why you can see question mark here. Stanza number 9 is telling us that children are better than all the ballads. Ballads means song or poems containing stories. People, say stories. People read stories because they are interesting, but they are better than all the ballads or songs, whichever verse, song, or said. Said means written. For you are living poems, because children create their own stories and that are very interesting. Everybody wants to be busy with them, to feel like the part of their stories. So that's why they are living poems. They create these stories. They don't need to listen to stories. They have their own stories and they make stories. So they are living poems, and all the rest are dead. So this poem, once again, this poem is about children. And children, I think, is a topic everyone likes. Children, everyone want to spend time with children to get happiness, wants to, sorry, and everyone feels joyful and relaxed in the presence of children, because their presence is very pleasant. They make the environment happy, joyful, lively with their silly activities and with their pure hearts. This the poem is all about. I think this is enough, and you must have got what the poem is all about. Okay, and this poem was written by written by Henry Longfellow. So now the next topic, adverb, which we left in the last class. Okay, let's see the definition once again. Adverb, a word that describes verb, an adjective, or another adverb. Verb, verb is very common because when we think about adverb, the first definition comes in our mind that adverb describes or adds meaning to verb. Commonly we think no, adverbs describe verb, adjective, and another adverb. And which answers adverbs actually provide? Means which kind of information to the verb or adjective or adverb they provide or they add meaning. In what way? How often, where, when, to what extent. Sorry, it's T-E-N-T. The spelling is, by mistake, the spelling is wrong. It's T-E-N-T. X-T, E-X-T-E-N-T. Okay, make it correct. Adverb of manner. As I said, how. So how comes under the heading of adverb of manner. How an action is done. And the examples are carefully, slowly, fast. One thing I want to clear, we think adverb means there must be ly at the end of the word. No, ly is not necessary. It's a common suffix to make adverbs, but it's not necessary to put ly with every adjective to make adverb. Fast, fast is adverb, and there is no word fastly. Sometimes we say fastly. Fastly is not a word, okay? It's fast. Adverb is fast. Adverb of frequency. Frequency means how often an action is done. For example, always, I always do my work on time. Often, sometimes. Sometimes I go to see my grandmother. Okay, so these are adverb of frequency. Next is adverb of place. The word place is itself saying where an action is done. And very simple, above. Above commonly is also used as preposition. Far, here. So these are adverb of place. My books are here. Here is showing the place where the books are kept. Okay. Adverb of time. When an action is done. It tells when an action is done. So for example, now I will go to see my sister. Yesterday I went on picnic. Soon my friend will come to see me. Okay, so or my friend will come to see me soon. So these are the examples of adverb of time. Okay, adverb of degree. As I said, up to what extent? Here the spelling is correct. Okay, up to what extent? It describes actually. For example, to, very, almost, and entirely. Commonly, adverb of degree describes another adverb or adjective. For example, my sister is very beautiful. Beautiful is adjective, but very is adverb because it is describing beautiful. How much beautiful up to what extent my sister is beautiful? Very beautiful. Okay, so very is adverb. Okay, the topic is over. Next, we will move towards. Okay, find the adverbs. See the sentence. Yesterday, we very carefully planted pretty flowers outside. Carefully, you can easily say carefully is an adverb. But are there other adverbs? Do you think? Okay, let's see. Yes, yesterday is adverb because it is adverb of place. Very, adverb of degree. Carefully, adverb of manner. Outside, adverb of place. Got it? Okay. Preposition. What is preposition? Preposition develops or makes a relationship between noun and other words. These other words might be noun, verb, or adjective. Or they show directions and placement as well. Example is given. You can see a picture. A cat is sitting under the table. That's why the cat is sitting under the table. The prepositions required here is under. Okay. Types of prepositions. It depends. For example, number one, preposition of time. When we talk about when we talk about where, so you can say preposition of place. And when we talk about direction or placement, then you can say preposition of direction. Examples are here. For example, prepositions of time, in, on, at, before, after. Prepositions of preposition of place, under, above, in, on, at, and to, into, or from. These are the examples of prepositions of direction. Okay, for the examples are given when. Number one, prepositions of time. My birthday falls in January. We are putting with time, particular time, that is January. My vacations ends on Monday. It gets cold at night. Very simple examples I'm just giving you. Okay, number two, where. For example, the books are on the table. Where the books are? Where are the books? Sorry. Where are the books? The books are on the table. The plane is just below cloud. Okay. So these are prepositions of place. They are showing the placement of the noun. Okay. Next is number three, preposition of direction. We went to London last week. Where we are going? To London. He went up the hill. He went down the hill, for example. So these are prepositions of direction. Okay. Prepositional phrase. What are prepositional phrase? We know what preposition is. Prepositional phrases are group of words containing preposition. They starts with preposition. It is necessary. The rabbit hopped through the garden. The through is preposition. Through the garden is prepositional phrase. The balloon drifted up the stairs. Up is just preposition. Up the stairs is prepositional phrase. Preposition and the commonly and the noun with we add preposition. The tiger crept slowly over the grass. Over is just a preposition, but over the grass is a prepositional phrase. Okay. Conjunction. Another one. What is conjunction? You can see a very simple, very easy definition. A conjunction is a word that joins two nouns, phrases, or sentences. It joins what? Two nouns, or you can say two words, two phrases, and two or more than two sentences. One thing I will tell you about conjunction. Conjunction seems less important than other, sometimes we think actually, than other parts of the speech, although they are very important. Because when we grow up, when we are child, we talk very simply. When we grow up, we talk in a mature way. Similarly, conjunction adds maturity to your write-up or to whatever you want to say to others. Conjunctions add maturity. When we use them successfully, our writer, for example, you are writing an essay, you are writing something, you are writing a report. If you add conjunctions and you use them successfully, your writer will look more mature and more beautiful as well. Okay. So conjunctions are very important. Some examples. One conjunction for, although for is also a preposition, but sometimes we use it as a conjunction in the sense of because. We listen eagerly for he brought, means because he brought news of our families. And very common conjunction, she didn't speak to anyone and nobody spoke to her. You can say, I bought some pencils and some erasers. So they join two words as well. Nor, I don't expect children to be rude, nor do I expect to be disobeyed. Another conjunction, but we use in contrary when we use but. We have to show, contrast between two statements. They rushed to the hospital, but they were too late. Or when we show option, I will go shopping or I will go camping. Okay, yet Kelly was a convicted criminal, yet many people admired him. So these are the examples of so, very common conjunction. I was feeling hungry, so in the sense of because I made myself a sandwich. That's the reason I made myself a sandwich. So conjunction makes the sentences clearer as well as they save your time. When you join two sentences with the help of conjunction, so they save your time because you can say what you want to say in faster than without using conjunctions. If you use conjunctions, you are faster in delivering what you want to deliver, what you want to say. So they save your time as well. Okay. Next, interjection. An interjection is a word thrown in, mostly at the beginning of a sentence or in a conversation. Why we use interjection? To express a deep or sudden emotion. Otherwise, interjections are meaningless words. They have no meaning. If we take them separately, they have no meaning. They are meaningless. But when we use them in sentences, it means we are talking about some strong, or we want to, with some strong emotions. That's why we use interjections. And one more very interesting thing, it is followed by an exclamation mark. At the end of the sentence, we use this exclamation mark. One more interesting thing I will tell you, interjections are commonly same in all the languages. Almost. A little difference in pronunciation you will find, but they are somehow, related to our nature. They are quite natural. We, automatically interjections when we have certain mood. Examples I will give you. Then you will understand what I'm saying to you. Wow, what a brilliant idea. We cannot say, wow, I have pain in my leg. No, you will laugh at me if I say, wow, I am failed. So you will laugh what teacher is saying. She's saying wow and she's saying I'm failed in exams. So it means that conjunctions are naturally associated with our behavior. So wow, what a brilliant idea. Hey, what did you say? Oops, I'm sorry. So, hi, how are you? These are different conjunctions. I'm not reading all. You will laugh then how our teacher is presenting these conjunctions. So, we use conjunctions and the same kind of conjunctions, quite similar or alike in almost all the languages. Again, I'm telling you, you cannot say, wow, I have leg, I have leg pain. You will say wow, and after wow, you will say something that makes you happy, that you are happy. If you say oops, it means you have done something wrong. If you say ouch, it means that you have kind of pain. Okay, if you say yuck, it means that you are disliking something. You cannot say yuck, the biryani is so tasty. People will laugh at you. So they are quite associated with our behavior and with our nature. So these were conjunctions. Okay, now I'm gonna share homework with you. These are the words meaning. I have shown you words meaning when I was describing the stanzas to you, but I'm just again showing you all the words meaning together, and it's better to rewrite the words meaning in copy, because whenever you open your copy and you see these words meaning, it will help you to recall the poem, and it will also enhance your vocabulary as different words like perplexed, puzzled, confused, vanish, disappear, swallow, a kind of small bird. This swallow has been given many times in exams in MCQs. Brooks, a body of water smaller than a river. Dread, fear, there is a verb. Tender, delicate, fine structure. In simple words, you can say soft or softness. Tenderness, softness. Tender is an adjective, by the way. Whisper, to speak very slowly, secretly. Okay. When we have to share a secret with someone, we whisper. We don't become loudly. We don't say loudly. Contravings, inventions, devices, wisdom, quality of being wise, caresses. The original word is caress. Yes, we are putting here because of making it plural. Because in your poem it is given in plural form, although the word is caress. And the pronunciation is caress, because sometimes we get confused for pronouncing the word correctly. It's caress, or now it's caresses. Caress means love, embrace, or a gentle or a soft touch, actually. Ballads, simple songs with a story. Ballads, this word as well as have been given many times in exams. Now, textual questions. This time I'm giving you more textual questions. I selected these questions from all the questions given in your book. Write the central idea with reference to the poet. That is common. You do central idea always. What is the question that is disturbing the poet? How has this question been answered? These two parts were given as two different questions in your book, but I am giving you to do them together. Okay. How can the birds and sunshine be in the hearts of the children? This is again about the thoughts and hearts of the children. The poet says that the children are thinking of the brooks while he's thinking. He's comparing himself with children. What does it mean? Why he's saying so? How are the children different from the poet? This answer is this question is very important because it will be written in a way that you will cover the gist of the stanza. What would happen to us if there were no children? About disappearance of children, if the world is without children, what would happen? But this question is in past tense. Okay, what songs does the poet wish to be whispered in the air? This is again about the seventh stanza, I think, or eighth one. With what does the poet compare children? This is also a very common, and very common means very common in exams and very important question. Okay, how can the children be like? Because the poet very successfully is using metaphors in this poem. That's why I'm telling you, okay, with what does the poet compare children is very interesting and very important question. Important is in a sense of writing. It will give you pleasure to write this answer if you feel. How can the children be like the ballads and the poems? You will feel it's interesting to write the answers of this poem. Okay. How can the children be like the ballads and the poems? The poet compared them with ballads and the poems, and you have to describe why and how. The poet calls the children living and the rest all dead. Why does he say so? He is saying that in the poem, he is saying that the children are living poems and the rest all are dead. Here, dead means that they are nothing if children are not there. And again, one tagline I will attach with this poem, that children are hope to the world. Without children, the world cannot carry on, and people will automatically die because they will think everything is gonna finish. So that's why they are called the hope, the true hope to the world. Okay. Next, textual blanks, only 5 blanks, okay? No, not more than 5 I'm going to give you. These are textual blanks and these are very clear to you, I think. Okay, next, these 5 blanks and side by side, take screenshots. Grammar, I taught you prepositions and adverbs, but I'm giving you preposition, adverbs, conjunction, and interjections. But in exams, exercises, one MCQ is given as a topic of preposition, according to the topic of preposition. So I'm giving you preposition. These are 6, and mostly I picked from 10 years from the past papers. Okay, so take screenshot, and there are some more which I picked from your textbook and past papers for better practice. Okay, otherwise preposition is a very difficult topic. Why I'm saying difficult? Because it can be learned properly by practicing. You cannot learn prepositions. You have to practice more and more if you want to good at preposition. So, okay, this is all these 15 uh, prepositions, blanks for prepositions. You can see, okay. For example, trust dash God and hope for the best. Here, students get confused in or on. I haven't given you on, otherwise students get confused to put on or in. The headmaster looked dash the matter. Yes, one thing I want to tell you. In the last class, I told you to make, I gave you homework actually to make sentences. Look into, look after, and look for. So look for and look into, they make you confused. Look into means when you have to carefully watch something, ponder over something, carefully investigate some matter. So we use look into. And when we say look for means searching. You are searching for something. So look for and look into get commonly get students confused, and they forget the meaning. Look for means to search, and look into means to investigate a matter or to ponder over a matter. And look after is also very very easy. Look after means to take care, and I think you know the meaning of look after. And look into and look for, they are given in exams again over again. Okay, for example, the headmaster looked dash the matter. The nurse looks dash the patient. Okay, now some more prepositions you can see. Okay, one preposition I want to tell you about. Okay, be careful while doing this. Okay, okay, that is on previous slide, I think. Yes, number 6. We must be loyal and patriotic dash our country. With, from, to, and of. I'm not gonna tell you the answer, but this one also is a confusing one. Sometimes students put wrong answer in this blank or in this kind of sentence. They, okay, I think I should tell you. They put with. We must be loyal and patriotic with our country, although it is to our country. Okay, so don't get confused. It's we must be loyal and patriotic to our country. Okay, okay. I'm showing you the slide of question answers once again because I showed you for a few seconds. Okay, see, these are 6 questions on this slide. Okay, and take a screenshot, and there are 4 more on this slide. They are 10 in total, and I selected these questions from the questions given in your book. They are more than 10. I think they are 20 around. So I selected these questions on behalf of their past, on behalf of the part of the past papers, as well as the construction, the importance of the question. So these are 10 in total which I am giving you. It is better for you to practice the rest of the questions at least in rough copy. These 10 you will do in fair copy, as you know, but the remaining you will practice in your rough copy. Okay. So textual banks, again I'm showing you. These are from, some are about the poet and some are from the content. So one more thing. Children open the dash according to Longfellow. I have opened this sentence according to the content of the poem. This is not as same as given in the poem. So this kind of sentences in the poem can be given in an open form, okay, but without changing the basic sentence. Dash and dash are in the hearts of children. Again, this is something very clearly given in your poem. That's why I easily made it a single sentence, but the words are fixed. You will not get confused to put these 2 words in blank number 4. Children are better than all the dash than ever were sung. Similarly, this sentence I made with some changes and the basic is same. Okay, this is all from my side, students, and Allah Hafiz.